Neanderthals and modern humans close but strictly separated. Chronological, alternating, occupations of the same cave by Neanderthals and modern humans, with clear periods of separation between the two groups, have been observed in France, notably at Mandrin-Cave, or Grotte Mandrin, which on your screen is neighboring the Provence, 7, to the north, and both are sharing the Rhône River, and are pointing out systematical strict separation between the Neanderthals and modern humans. A similar separation between Neanderthals and modern humans had been the case in Vindija Cave in Croatia. According to consensus, Mandrin-Cave site reveals a complex sequence of alternating Neanderthal and human presence, pushing back the arrival of Homo sapiens in the region to approximately 54,000 years ago, and consequently are challenging the previous, as well as consensus, notions of a simple population replacement. For us of origin for existence, this by consensus supposed complex sequence is in fact the logical consequence of them being closely associated and literally living in the same places or at least regions, simply because the Neanderthals were the working class of the humans. Mandrin-Cave, Grotte Mandrin. Mandrin-Cave is in association with the Aurignacian-Culture range. Vindija Cave in Croatia is linked to a Neanderthal group that has its DNA amongst modern humans in Iceland, and also in Germany and Spain. Feldhofer Cave, Germany, and El-Sidron, northern Spain, Atlantic, are suggesting a common demographic history among groups in Eastern Europe and the Iberian Peninsula, with both groups being connected to the Atlantic Ocean gyre and currents. The Linkombian-Rhanisian-Jersmanowishan range. The Feldhofer Cave and the Rani's Cave, both being in Germany, are close together, and in a resource and or rich mountain range that extends from England, Cornwall, all the way to Poland, and that brings in Stonehenge. The unexpected including of Iceland, in the middle of the North Atlantic gyre, as well as the presence of Y-DNA-C and R1b, that have their roots in the Americas, reinforces our origin for existence claim of out of the Americas, and the never proven and highly improbable, assumed out of Africa, being in fact a sweeping in of modern humans from out of Americans, presenting Y-DNA-C and R1b, through the North Atlantic gyre, in the case of the Aurignacian-Culture, polygonal work builders, and southern, continuously from Gibraltar to the foot of Italy, parts of Europe. Iceland as a sign of out of the Americas. Already with the fundamental essential ancestral markers, that all point to out of the Americas, in mind, we interpret presence and frequencies in Iceland as signs of being part of these already clear out of the Americas. Especially so when confirmed by focus on the Atlantic facades and rivers, especially those relating to Scandinavia, the United Kingdom, France, etc., and with weak focus on the Middle East and or the eastern part of the Mediterranean. Migrations of the now extinct native Europeans, like the Y-DNA haplogroups I and I2, that build Stonehenge, etc., as well as the now modern Europeans, like Y-DNA haplogroups R1b, that formed the Bell-Beaker culture, and later the Celts, all clearly carry this Iceland sign. El-Sidron in Asturias. Asturias is the Spanish province immediately west of modern-day Basques country. The Basques have a distinctive genetic history, with a higher proportion of ancient European hunter-gatherer DNA, and a lower amount of steppe-related DNA compared to their neighbors. Basques are associated in many ways with the Atlantic and the Americas, as well as unexpectedly with the Y-DNA haplogroup A and the San people, but we list and explain that in other videos. Hunter-gatherer DNA is ancient, and steppe-related DNA is quite recent. A next and the most defining sweep in, roughly from 8,000 to 4,500 years ago, also forming the defining Bell-Beaker culture. Aurignacian-Culture. The Aurignacian-Culture also is considered an Upper Paleolithic hunter-gatherer society. There is no way the DNA of these groups shows they effectively were hunter-gatherers. This is only assumed because they are ancient and present stone tools, but we of origin for existence explain the stone tools as being related to the Neanderthals, which the humans deployed in mining, and occasionally in megafauna handling, this similar as to the Clovis culture in the Americas were deployed in megafauna handling, and most probably also in mining, simply because they are clearly associated with mines, just as the Neanderthals very clearly were. Both Aurignacian-Culture and Neanderthal tools are not really typical for hunter-gatherers, but rather for mining and megafauna handling. The terms techno-complex and industries, as often used by scientists, are possibly unwillingly somehow describing what it really was, even when consensus do not recognize it the way we of origin for existence do, in our opinion simply because it does not fit in consensus human history as it is written until today. Common demographic history. Even more interestingly, Louisa-Fox and colleagues have discovered similar DNA sequences or fragments of sequences that also were carried by the Neanderthals from Feldhofer Cave, in Germany, as well as by the Neanderthals from El-Sidron, in northern Atlantic Spain, suggesting a common demographic history among groups in Eastern Europe and the Iberian Peninsula. For us, this is nothing else than a further expansion of the Atlantic facades and rivers in the direction of the Black Sea, and consequently also in the direction of Mediterranean Sea, with its much later rising and soon after falling Bronze Age cultures, of the already explained and proven Atlantic expansions, or out of the Americas expansions. Additional informations from consensus. A. The Aurignacian-Culture was an Upper Paleolithic hunter-gatherer society in Europe, characterized by the earliest known art and complex bone and flint tools, made by early modern humans, Cro-Magnons, between roughly 39,000 and 29,000 years ago. This techno-complex included advancements in projectile weapons, personal ornaments like pendants and ivory beads, and the first symbolic artistic expressions in the form of portable art and cave paintings. B. The Aurignacian represents the first major technological and cultural complex, called techno-complex, attributed to European Homo sapiens, marking a shift from earlier cultures.